Hey guys, tonight we're diving into a modern historical saga so bizarre it makes medieval leech therapy look like a reasonable after-dinner activity. The Ozempic craze, and why history can't resist the seductive call of the miracle weight loss drug. So, before you get too cozy, take a second to like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy what I do here. Leave a comment letting me know if you've ever accidentally bought a miracle product late at night. No judgment. We've all got a thigh master hidden in a closet somewhere. Now, dim the lights, switch on a fan for that white noise hum, and get comfortable. Maybe arrange your pillows into a fortress. Because tonight, you're not just listening to a story, you're surviving the endless cycle of human hope and medical marketing. Let's pause. Have you ever wondered why we keep falling for the same? This time it's different promise? Why does every generation have its version of snake oil? Could you have survived the tapeworm diet? Or would you have accidentally named yours Chad and started feeding it snacks? Do you know what happens when the hottest trend in medicine turns out to be literally just another laxative, but with better branding? And why is it that every time we invent a new miracle cure, people end up fainting, hallucinating, or buying special hats to keep their ears from falling off? Congratulations, you've just woken up in the middle of the miracle drug parade, where your doctor is moonlighting as an Instagram influencer, your neighbor is selling bootleg injections out of their Prius, and your great-great-grandparents are quietly judging you from the afterlife for not eating more cabbage. Let's talk about the Ozempic craze, because history never learns. But at least we can laugh about it. In the beginning, there was a molecule and a dream. You wake up to the sound of talk shows declaring Ozempic the latest miracle, promising a waistline so snatched, even your skeleton is jealous. Doctors, celebrities, and your Aunt Linda all claim it's the answer. But how did a diabetes drug become the world's favorite quick fix? Let's set the scene. It's early 23, and you, like everyone else, have been gently worn down by years of wellness trends. You've lived through low-fat, low-carb, and high-fiber. You've counted points, steps, and the number of times you've sworn off bread only to come crawling back like a carb-deprived raccoon. And now, into this landscape of diet fatigue, Ozempic glides in, wearing a white coat, carrying a prescription pad, and promising you the metabolic reset your 1997 metabolism still dreams about. The hype hits you before the actual drug does. Morning shows beam in before and after photos that seem only slightly less suspicious than a magician's Instagram. People claim to lose weight effortlessly, and the words "game changer" echo from every corner of the internet, bouncing between TikTok doctors and bored billionaire CEOs. Your group chat lights up with speculation, rumors, and that one friend who knows a guy who can get you some, no questions asked. You scroll through social media and discover that Ozempic isn't just a medication, it's a movement. Hashtags like number Ozempic body and number one and done fill your feed, nestled between videos of people making protein ice cream out of cottage cheese and existential dread. The stories are everywhere. Some find hope, some find nausea, and some find themselves wondering if they can expense this on their HSA. At your next doctor's appointment, you try to play it cool, but you can't help it. You mention your metabolic concerns while giving your physician the same look you gave your parents when you wanted a Sega Genesis for Christmas. The doctor sighs. Yes, they've heard of it. Yes, everyone's asking. Yes, technically, it's for diabetes. But here's the fun part. There's now a global shortage because people want to fit into last summer's jeans. Let's talk about those jeans. You know, the ones that once made you feel unstoppable, but now have the audacity to shrink in the closet all winter. With Ozempic, the promise is simple. Skip the cabbage soup, Forget the lemon juice cleanse, and just let science do the heavy lifting. It's not magic, but it feels close. You imagine a future where you reach your goal weight without the emotional trauma of kale chips. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. Side effects include nausea, headaches, and occasional existential questioning of whether it's all worth it. And, like all miracle cures, the stories of success are matched by tales of disappointment. That time your co-worker lost 20 pounds but also her ability to enjoy cheese, or when cousin Marty developed an allergy to all foods except beige crackers. As the weeks go by, you notice the world quietly reorganizing itself around Ozempic. Pharmacies are sold out. Celebrities slip it into casual conversation. Even your local dog park has a guy selling semaglutide out of a fanny pack between tennis ball throws. It's not just a drug, it's a phenomenon. The new currency of hope in a society always hungry for less hunger. And underneath it all, you feel the familiar tug of history. Didn't we do this before? Didn't your grandmother drink vinegar and your parents swear by Snackwells? Every generation, it seems, discovers a new miracle with a new set of side effects and a slightly fancier commercial jingle. Still, you can't help but get swept up. Maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the cure that will finally let you have your cake and eat it, too, without the cake quietly plotting your downfall. So you nod along, refresh your prescription app, and watch the world spin just a little bit lighter for now. And as you drift off, you realize it's not just about the molecule. It's about the dream, the hope, and the gentle, unbreakable human urge to believe, just one more time, in a miracle. Long before Ozempic, you lived through the great vinegar diet, the grapefruit fast, and that time people put tape over their mouths to train themselves thin. History's full of potions, powders, and pills with claims as wild as their side effects. Welcome to a legacy older than your grandma's secret cookie tin. Let's take a stroll through the Miracle Drug Hall of Fame, dimly lit and smelling faintly of mothballs, burnt toast, and a hint of regret. You're not just a spectator here, you're a lifelong participant in humanity's favorite game. What if this time it really works? Every era has its quick fix. The only thing more reliable than human stubbornness is the pharmaceutical industry's ability to invent hope in a bottle. Step back into Victorian England, where the world's first diet pills promised to melt away unwanted corpulence. The ingredients? A mysterious blend of soap, chalk, and sometimes a little arsenic for that extra kick. You might have lost a few pounds, but mostly because you were too nauseated to eat or possibly developing superpowers from heavy metals. The side effect list was, technically, all of them. Still, the promise was simple. A slimmer you, just one suspicious lozenge away. Fast forward to the early 20th century. Tapeworm eggs are advertised as sanitized and safe. You're assured that by swallowing a pill, you'll have your own helpful parasite to take care of those pesky calories. Just imagine a weight loss buddy, except it lives in your intestine, eats your lunch, and occasionally asks for rent. The ads were optimistic, the science was creative, and the legacy is 1,000 family stories about why you don't trust anything in an unmarked bottle. The 1920s bring us cocaine tooth drops, which were exactly what they sound like. A little dab to dull the pain. A little more to make you forget you had teeth at all. The line between miracle cure and full-blown hazard was thinner than a flapper's eyebrow pencil. But hey, at least you were skinny and wide awake. The mid-century years are a wonderland of miracle weight loss methods. The grapefruit diet arrives, requiring you to eat half a grapefruit before every meal. The theory is that the grapefruit's magic enzymes will torch fat. The reality is that you spend a lot of time wondering if scurvy is a good trade-off for tight pants. The cabbage soup diet follows, filling your kitchen with a smell your pets will never forgive. And then, in the swinging 60s and 70s, amphetamines enter the scene, doctor-prescribed speed for anyone desperate enough to try it. You take a little pep pill and discover a new level of productivity. You clean the house, alphabetize the spice rack, and stay up for 48 hours straight, reorganizing your sock drawer. Weight loss? Absolutely. Sanity? Questionable. If you're lucky, you avoid the heart palpitations and paranoia. If not, you become a case study in why prescription only is a thing. By the 1990s, it's fen-phen's turn, a combination of fenfluramine and phentermine that's supposed to melt pounds like butter on a summer sidewalk. Everyone wants in, until, suddenly, people start developing heart valve problems. Fen-phen vanishes overnight, leaving behind only a trail of lawsuits and one more cautionary tale for the ages. Each decade, you notice, has its special flavor of hope. There's always a powder to sprinkle, a tonic to sip, or a rubber contraption to wear under your pajamas. The names change: AIDS, Dexatrim, Metrical, Slimfast, but the dream never dies. It just rebrands, adds a shiny new label, and tries again. And through it all, you watch history repeat itself, with a mix of skepticism and barely restrained optimism. The miracle is always just out of reach. A tantalizing solution to a problem as old as civilization itself. The desire to be different, to be better, to be thinner, younger, more in control. Every generation lines up, wallets in hand, for the next big thing. So you drift, half amused, half resigned, through this long parade of medical fads, knowing that somewhere out there, the next miracle is brewing in a lab, or maybe in a basement, because if there's one thing more contagious than a weight loss craze, it's the hope that, just maybe, this time, it'll actually work. And as you settle in for sleep, you realize chasing miracles isn't just about medicine. It's about being human. And humans, bless us, never give up on a good story. It's 1884. You've just swallowed a pill that contains a surprise guest. The tapeworm diet promised effortless weight loss, provided you didn't mind sharing your lunch with a worm named Gerald. Side effects? Regret, mostly. Let's start with the ambiance. You're living in the golden age of Victorian health fads, a world bursting with corsets, tonics, and advice columns written by people who have never touched a vegetable. Every dinner table conversation includes a story about someone's cousin's neighbor who tried the new thing and emerged either beautifully svelte or dramatically deceased. And tonight, your new thing is wriggling inside you, ready to set up shop next to your appendix. Doctors, well, let's use that term loosely, have convinced society that beauty can be achieved with just a sprinkle of innovation and a disregard for basic biology. Tapeworm pills are sold through elegant advertisements, promising a safe, easy, and perfectly discreet path to a slender silhouette. There's even a fancy drawing of a Victorian lady looking positively radiant, not a hint of discomfort on her perfectly powdered face. What the ad doesn't show is Gerald the tapeworm wearing a tiny top hat and monocle, planning his evening meal. Your liver. You, meanwhile, have your doubts, but the mirror is persuasive. And so is your friend Beatrice, who swears her dress fits better and her appetite is simply gone. She fails to mention the persistent stomach noises or why she keeps glancing at the cat like it might be next. So you take the pill, convinced by a mixture of peer pressure and the era's casual approach to medical experimentation. Within days, you notice a change. You feel lighter. Your clothes are looser. You're also experiencing a curious new sensation, the mild suspicion that you are not, in fact, alone. Breakfast becomes a negotiation. You reach for your usual toast, but Gerald is already calling dibs. Lunch is a quieter affair, because Gerald doesn't like loud chewing. Dinners are awkwardly one-sided. You eat, Gerald digests, and you both spend a lot of time reflecting on your life choices. You might have expected glamour, but what you get is a symbiotic relationship with a parasite that doesn't even help with the dishes. The side effects come fast and absurd. Victorian tapeworm dieters report everything from fatigue and anemia to unexplained cravings for chalk. Some even become minor celebrities at dinner parties, with guests whispering, "That's the one with the worm." You get used to hearing your stomach rumble like it's sending out Morse code distress signals. You start giving Gerald little pep talks. "If you're going to eat half my sandwich, at least help with the rent." But the real kicker? Nobody actually knows how to get Gerald out. The ads are very clear on how to invite him in, but mum's the word on eviction. Consult your physician, the pamphlet suggests, conveniently omitting that Victorian physicians are often just barbers with a medical dictionary and a can-do attitude. Some recommend starvation diets to starve out the worm. Others suggest herbal purges. Or, in moments of true desperation, chasing Gerald out with a piece of undercooked beef. Spoiler: Gerald is not easily impressed by beef. Through it all, you wonder if you made the right call. You're thinner, yes, but you're also sharing your digestive tract with a Papsamol's creature that treats you like an all-inclusive resort. Your friends are impressed, your doctor is confused, and your parents are praying for the return of old-fashioned corsets. At night, you try to sleep, haunted by the faint, wiggly sensation of regret, and perhaps a bit of tapeworm line dancing. History would later look back and shake its head, baffled that anyone thought this was a good idea. But for a brief shining moment, the Victorian tapeworm diet was all the rage. Effortless weight loss, a trendy parasite, and a legacy of cautionary tales that makes you grateful your current health fad doesn't require a passport for a worm. So, as you drift off, be thankful that your struggles are with willpower, not with Gerald, the uninvited roommate. Because in the grand tradition of miracle cures, sometimes all you really gain is a lifelong aversion to anything labeled discreet and effortless. You walk into an apothecary. "Would you like a cocaine drop for that toothache? Maybe some lard to rub on your belly fat?" Welcome to the turn of the century, when medicine cabinets looked like evidence lockers and side effects included rampant enthusiasm. It's 1991, and you're shopping for health, which, at this point in history, means you're about to buy something guaranteed to make you feel either amazing or briefly immortal, or, at the very least, highly flammable. The shelves gleam with glass bottles and tins labeled Tincture of Invigoration, Dr. Q's Miracle Tonic, and Guaranteed Snake Oil, no snakes included. If you squint, you can almost see the fine print. May cause excitement, confusion, or the spontaneous urge to buy more tonics. You've got a toothache, which in modern times would mean ibuprofen, and a guilty call to the dentist you haven't seen in 4 years. But here, your options are a little more stimulating. The apothecary offers you a tiny vial of cocaine tooth drops. Yes, cocaine. Not just a little, but enough to make your mouth forget it has nerves, roots, or a complicated relationship with licorice. One dab and your gums go numb, your spirits soar, and suddenly you're reorganizing the pantry and writing a novel about your cat. It's a dental visit and a self-improvement seminar all in one. Next to the cocaine drops sits a jar of lard, pure, unadulterated pig fat, helpfully marketed as a guaranteed fat dissolver. The logic is simple. If you rub lard onto your belly, it will draw out your own body fat, because like dissolves like. This is the same scientific rigor that suggests eating donuts will cure a fear of round objects. You're instructed to slather it on nightly, then wrap your midsection in flannel until you resemble a slightly distressed sausage roll. By morning, you'll be slim, or at least well-basted. But why stop there? The golden age of snake oil is a time of boundless medical creativity. Got nerves? Try a syrup laced with heroin, guaranteed to calm even the most excitable children. Feeling a little blue? There's a bottle for that, containing everything from alcohol and morphine to mysterious herbal essences, harvested by a man named Earl in the alley behind the apothecary. Side effects include contentment, confusion, and the unshakable belief that you should invest in real estate. You wander the aisles, noting other favorites: radium water for vitality, mercury pill for constipation, and Dr. Kilmore's liver lozenges, made, probably, by someone who never met an actual liver. For every ailment, there's a cure. For every cure, a fresh set of problems. You wonder how anyone in this era lives past 30. But then you remember, they don't. Not really. It's not just the products, it's the sales pitch. Out front, a man in a top hat and checkered suit shouts, "Step right up." He offers you a bottle of sarsaparilla strengthener, waving testimonials allegedly written by famous European baronesses. His moustache twitches with confidence. You try a free sample and instantly regret it. It tastes like regret marinated in licorice and old wagon wheels, but you feel strangely compelled to buy 3 bottles. Maybe it's the subtle hint of opium. Even home remedies get in on the act. Newspapers print ads for miracle cures made from turpentine, mustard, or goose grease. Housewives debate which snake oil works best on their husband's hair loss, while children trade cough syrup recipes on the playground. There's no regulation, only optimism and a mild sense of adventure every time you open the medicine cabinet. Through it all, you can't help but admire the inventiveness. Sure, it's reckless, occasionally lethal, and powered entirely by hope and questionable chemistry. But it's also a time when everyone believes there's a cure for everything, even laziness, baldness, or existential dread. It's the original self-improvement movement, only stickier. So, as you drift off tonight, spare a thought for the turn-of-the-century miracle seeker, dizzy on cocaine, greased in lard, and chasing the next big cure. Because when history writes the story of snake oil, it always ends the same way. Lots of bottles, lots of stories, and the timeless realization that the only real miracle is waking up tomorrow, a little wiser, and a lot less greasy. You are trapped in the 1930s. Your breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Grapefruit and more grapefruit. The promise? Melted pounds. The reality? A digestive system praying for mercy. And a lifelong suspicion of citrus. It all starts innocently enough. You want to look like the glamorous movie stars who glide across the silver screen in feathered gowns and tuxedos, so sharp you could slice a grapefruit with the lapel. The answer, you're told, is simple. Eat grapefruit with every meal. No bread, no potatoes, no joy. Just you and that slightly sour, pithy orb of potential. And you believe it. Because this is an era when people also think a healthy tan comes from a lamp that plugs into the wall and medicine contains uranium for that invigorating glow. Each morning you stumble into the kitchen, greeted by a mountain of grapefruits stacked so high it's starting to look like a citrus-themed game of Jenga. You peel your first grapefruit in silence, reflecting on your life choices and the fact that you're about to eat your daily dose of vitamin C for the 3rd time before noon. Slicing through the tough skin, you try not to get juice in your eye, a rite of passage for every serious dieter, and settle into the numb, bitter routine. Lunch is more of the same. Maybe you get creative, slicing the grapefruit into segments and pretending it's a pie. Maybe you drizzle a little sugar on top, which is promptly judged by your diet group leader and immediately counteracted by guilt. Or maybe you try eating it plain, savoring the tang that seems to burn away not only fat but also your hopes and dreams. By dinner, you're desperately Googling, except it's the 1930s, so you're just daydreaming about ways to disguise the flavor. Grapefruit salad, grapefruit juice, broiled grapefruit, grapefruit surprise. The surprise is that it's still just grapefruit. Your teeth start to feel a little too clean. Your tongue develops a strange relationship with bitterness. And your stomach wonders if you've secretly enrolled in a culinary punishment program. Social life doesn't get any easier. Imagine trying to explain your new regimen at a dinner party. No, thank you. I brought my own fruit. You get a few looks, mostly concern, and one invitation to join a support group for people who've lost the ability to taste sweetness. Friends begin to drift away, unable to watch you dismantle yet another grapefruit at the lunch counter. Even your dentist raises an eyebrow, warning you that your enamel is now as fragile as your resolve. The science behind it all? Well, it's based on the idea that grapefruit contains a magic enzyme that incinerates fat on contact, at least according to the pamphlet printed by someone's cousin with a printing press and a flair for marketing. Actual nutritionists aren't so sure. In fact, most of them are busy studying whether the real weight loss comes from, not eating anything else. And yet, the grapefruit diet spreads. It's everywhere, from Hollywood starlets to regular folks desperate to drop a dress size before the big dance. You're part of a secret citrus society, bonded by your mutual longing for a piece of bread and your shared, slightly haunted eyes. Together, you swap recipes, trade war stories about the perils of pulp, and pretend that you don't miss potatoes. After weeks, maybe months, you reach your goal weight or just lose the will to eat fruit. The scales are lighter, but so is your soul. You eye oranges with suspicion, lemons with terror, and limes with outright hostility. Citrus has won the battle, but at what cost? Every breakfast for the next decade is just a little bit sadder. As you curl up to sleep, stomach still rumbling in the night, you realize the real lesson of the grapefruit solution isn't about weight loss. It's about the spectacular lengths people will go to avoid sensible advice and the unbreakable human hope that somewhere, hidden in a pile of fruit, is a shortcut to happiness, just waiting to squirt you in the eye. It's the 1990s. Your jeans are high-waisted, and so is your blood pressure. Fen is everywhere. Until, suddenly, it's not. Turns out, miracles sometimes means may cause heart explosions. But hey, at least you look good for the reunion. Picture it. You're waking up to the dulcet tones of a battery-powered alarm clock, the faint scent of CK1 lingering in the air, and somewhere in the background, Celine Dion is belting her heart out about her heart going on, unaware of just how literal that would become for a generation of hopeful dieters. You reach for your Fen pills, the little capsules of hope prescribed with the same casual enthusiasm as Beanie Babies and dial-up internet. Your doctor, rocking a mustache that could anchor a sitcom, assures you that this combo, fenfluramine and phentermine, will melt the pounds away. No questions asked. It's safe, they say. It's the future of medicine. And because it's the 90s, you trust anyone in a white coat, especially if they fax you a coupon. The prescription pad becomes your ticket to the good life, or at least to fitting into that one pair of acid-wash jeans waiting optimistically in your closet. Within weeks, you start to feel it. A little less hunger, a lot more energy, and a pulse that's now as fast as a Spice Girls remix. You're dropping pounds, your friends are asking for your secret, and you're writing your acceptance speech for most improved at the class reunion. Fen isn't just a pill. It's a cultural event. Daytime TV hosts call it a revolution. Magazines feature before and after stories. And the pharmacy line is longer than the drive-through at Taco Bell. But then, the side effects start sneaking up. Maybe it's the jittery feeling that coffee can't touch, or the heart palpitations that make you wonder if your ribs have learned to tap dance. Maybe it's the shortness of breath, the chest tightness, or the growing collection of stories about people landing in the ER for unexpected valve issues. You laugh it off. Everyone's a little dramatic these days. After all, this is the 90s, where no fear is printed on every t-shirt and everyone you know has tried at least one questionable cleanse. Still, word spreads. News reports trickle in, cautiously at first, then with mounting alarm. Potential heart valve damage, they say. Possible pulmonary hypertension. Suddenly, your miracle cure is making headlines, and not in the way you'd like. Class action lawsuits blossom overnight. Your doctor gets real quiet about those refills. And the FDA pulls the plug with the same speed as cancelling a sitcom after a bad pilot. Now you're left in a weird limbo. You look great, sure, but you're clutching your chest every time you climb a flight of stairs, and your pharmacist has started giving you pamphlets about healthy lifestyle changes with a worried look in their eyes. The reunion arrives. You show up in those jeans, the compliments fly, and for a moment, it's all worth it, until someone asks, "Did you hear what happened to Karen after Fen?" You realize, with a touch of existential dread, that history has repeated itself. Just like the grapefruit diet, the tapeworm pills, and the lard rubs before it, Fen promised the impossible. A shortcut to happiness, no consequences, just a pill and a dream. And just like every miracle cure, it came with a price tag you didn't see coming. As the 90s fade into the distance, you're left with a healthy respect for moderation, a lingering sense of nostalgia for simpler times, and maybe a follow-up appointment with your cardiologist. You can't help but marvel at the resilience and forgetfulness of the human spirit, because no matter how many times we go through this, there's always a new miracle just around the corner, waiting to tempt us with the promise of effort-free perfection. So, as you slip out of your high-waisted jeans and into bed, heart still beating, if a bit more loudly, you whisper a quiet thanks for surviving another round of the miracle drug merry-go-round. Sleep tight, and maybe lay off the shortcuts, just this once. The doctor hands you a prescription for Benzedrine and tells you to go wild. The catch? You're vibrating like a hummingbird and haven't blinked in 3 days. Weight loss. Achieved. Sanity. Not so much. Let's rewind to the 1940s and 50s. A simpler time when everything came in a cheerful glass bottle with a cork and the word miracle on the label. You've barely finished breakfast, toast, bacon, and a casual existential dread before you're handed a little pill. For your figure, the doctor winks, sliding you a prescription with the casual confidence of someone who's never met an adverse side effect they couldn't ignore. There's no counseling, no warnings, just an assurance that Benzedrine, Dexedrine, or whatever drine you fancy will melt away your muffin top and help you vacuum the living room ceiling at 3 a.m. You pop your first pill, expecting a gentle nudge toward your goal weight. What you get is an express ticket to wide-awake town. Suddenly, you're reorganizing your kitchen cabinets alphabetically, mowing the neighbor's lawn, unasked, and composing a symphony for banjo and dishwasher. You're so efficient. The dog starts hiding his toys just to avoid being alphabetized. Hunger? What hunger? Your appetite packs its bags and flees to a safe house, leaving you to marvel at your new ability to exist on 3 olives and a glass of water for days. Weight loss, predictably, follows. Your clothes loosen, your energy is off the charts, and your co-workers can't decide if you're an inspiration or a cautionary tale. Lunchtime is spent talking at double speed about your new diet regimen to anyone who will listen, and some who definitely won't. Every mundane task feels urgent, no, important. And sleep becomes an ancient myth from before you joined the Benzedrine Club. This isn't just you, either. Amphetamines are everywhere. Housewives are handed pep pills for weight loss. Students take them to focus, and soldiers are issued them in World War II for staying awake long enough to regret their choices in 2 time zones at once. Even Hollywood's brightest stars, those paragons of impossible beauty, are rumored to run on a heady mix of little white pills, cigarettes, and nervous energy. Why eat, you reason, when you could spend lunchtime painting the fence and waxing the mailbox? But every high has a crash. After a few days of euphoria, you start to notice the other side effects: jittery hands, a jaw that won't unclench, and a persistent suspicion that the toaster is plotting against you. Your friends worry, your family stages an intervention, and you find yourself at 3 in the morning, wide awake, ironing curtains you didn't know you owned. You're thinner, yes, but also haunted by the creeping realization that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't what healthy was supposed to feel like. And the best part? The medical community takes decades to catch on. Amphetamines remain the diet aid of choice for years, dispensed with the cheerful recklessness of people who think seatbelts are a fad. By the 1970s, after a parade of over-caffeinated housewives, twitchy executives, and students who mistake paranoia for productivity, someone finally wonders if maybe handing out stimulants like candy has a downside. Oops. By now, you're craving sleep the way you once craved carbs. The house is spotless, the cat is unsettled, and you're ready to retire your jittery crown. As the miracle is slowly reined in by regulation, doctors turn to other cures, and society collectively pretends the amphetamine years were just a particularly energetic fever dream. So tonight, as you curl up in bed, maybe for the first time in days, think back to the era of Benzedrine breakfasts and Dexedrine dinners. Remember, the only thing faster than the weight loss was the speed at which the miracle fell out of favor. And if you hear the faint sound of banjo music from the kitchen, it's probably just a memory, or maybe you still have some tidying up to do. Sleep tight and let your heart rate slow for a while. You wake up in 23. Social media is a sea of before and after photos, celebrity testimonials, and doctors forced to explain basic biology in TikTok dances. Ozempic isn't just a drug. It's a movement, a meme, and a gold rush for anyone with a prescription pad. You roll over and check your phone. Within seconds, you're met with transformations so dramatic they look like special effects. Except the only special effect is a weekly injection and a fiercely guarded pharmacy pickup time. There's Oprah, a talk show host, your neighbor's dog walker, and 3 of your high school classmates all suddenly 10 pounds lighter and eager to share their journey. Hashtags like #Oztalk and #My Ozempic story fill your feed, sandwiched between videos of people rating protein bars and dissecting celebrity breakups with the seriousness of a Supreme Court hearing. Somewhere in this scrolling fever dream, you notice something new. Doctors, real doctors, with real credentials, dancing awkwardly on TikTok to the tune of Barbie Girl, using their hips to explain insulin resistance and appetite suppression. The lines between medical advice, entertainment, and advertisement blur. There's a sense that if you just like and subscribe, you too can become part of the new beautiful class, the medicated and motivated. It's not just influencers. Your own friends are comparing notes in group chats, swapping side effect horror stories like they're trading baseball cards. Lost 18 pounds, but now I dream about mashed potatoes every night. Still can't look at a donut without hearing my doctor's voice in my head. For every glowing testimonial, there's a cautionary tale. My hair fell out, but at least my pants fit. The Ozempic Craze is a social event, a club where the membership card is a prescription, and the initiation rite is a slightly upset stomach. Meanwhile, in the background, the entire supply chain is coming apart at the seams. Pharmacies run out of stock, doctors get bombarded with requests, and the official website posts, "We're working hard to meet demand" banners next to smiling stock photos of people eating salads. You start to wonder if you'll need to travel to Canada or barter with a shady guy named Skip behind the Walgreens for your next refill. It's not all glamour, though. As the trend balloons, so do the questions. Some doctors warn of overprescription. Others point out that diabetes patients, the people Ozempic was actually made for, are struggling to get their medication while healthy folks line up for just a little off the waist. Medical ethicists and wellness warriors battle it out in the comments section, each armed with charts, opinions, and a very strong Wi-Fi signal. All the while, pharmaceutical ads amp up their game. Now, instead of quiet disclaimers and smiling couples strolling through wheat fields, you get fast-talking voiceovers warning you of possible side effects: nausea, fatigue, mild existential dread, and the sudden realization that thinness is not a personality. The American dream, it turns out, has always included a miracle shortcut, preferably one you can inject in the privacy of your own bathroom. But perhaps the wildest part is how quickly it all becomes normal. By the end of the year, you can't remember a time when Ozempic wasn't part of the cultural conversation. You're expected to know your number, share your stats, and have an opinion about the best protein powder to pair with your new, slightly queasy metabolism. Even late-night comedians are in on the joke, riffing about skinny billionaires and influencers who forgot to mention the part where you can't eat more than 6 almonds at a time. Underneath it all, you can sense the familiar rhythm of hope and hype. For every person quietly helped, there's someone left out, someone frustrated, someone scrolling through Instagram wondering why their miracle cure comes with a copay the size of a car payment. You realize, with a mix of awe and exhaustion, that you're living in history as it happens, a time when a drug becomes a meme, a movement, and punchline all at once. So, as you finally put down your phone and settle in for the night, let yourself marvel at the strange new world of modern-day Ozempic, a place where science, spectacle, and longing collide, and everyone is just looking for a little magic in a bottle, a hashtag, or a 30-second dance routine. Sleep tight. Tomorrow, there'll be a new trend, but tonight, you're part of the miracle. Desperate times call for desperate eBay listings. Suddenly, there's an Ozempic black market. People are swapping doses in parking lots and smuggling pens across borders. Nothing says miracle like bootlegging a diabetes drug out of a fanny pack. Welcome to the wild west of modern weight loss, where your local pharmacy starts to resemble a speakeasy, and your pharmacist has the haunted look of someone who's been asked, "Are you holding one too many times?" You thought the hardest part of getting healthy would be resisting cookies at 9 p.m., not tracking shipments like a cartel boss or negotiating with a guy who says he knows a nurse who can get the good stuff. And yet, here you are, refreshing your online order status with the kind of intensity usually reserved for concert tickets and Black Friday TVs. The shortages start as a quiet rumor. A friend texts you, "Have you heard? My Walgreens is out." Again, Next, your doctor shrugs helplessly, suggesting you try around like you're searching for a rare Pokémon card, not a crucial medication. Soon, the official news confirms it. Demand has far outstripped supply. Social media groups explode with frantic energy as people trade pharmacist phone numbers, tips, and very illegal import websites. The vibe is less healthcare system and more underground sneaker drop. You find yourself part of a secret society, a shadowy network of the slim, aspirational, and genuinely diabetic alike. In parking lots across America, people are conducting whispered transactions, exchanging cash and cold packs like characters in a B-list crime drama. It's a world where the password is semaglutide, the handshake is a Venmo request, and the only thing scarier than getting caught is running out of your weekly dose. Suddenly, you notice strange new trends. Friends start to disappear from brunch, citing pharmacy runs. The local Facebook group develops its own language, with code phrases like, "Is the bluebird flying?" Translation, "Did your shipment arrive?" And "I know a guy." In Montreal, urban legends sprout overnight. Someone's cousin's boss's sister's dog walker supposedly scored a 6-month supply from a friend in Dubai. You even catch yourself side-eyeing strangers' fanny packs, wondering if they're hiding insulin pens or just snacks. Meanwhile, online resale platforms blossom with questionable listings. Ozempic, brand new, never used, ships cold. The descriptions are part pharmaceutical, part Craigslist poetry, and all very, very illegal. Bidding wars break out, with desperate buyers offering double, triple, or the entire contents of their childhood Beanie Baby collection for one little pen. A cottage industry of couriers emerges. People who will fly to Mexico or Canada, brave airport security, and return with precious cargo, usually concealed in a lunchbox that's seen things it can never unsee. Of course, there are risks. Maybe you get what you paid for. Maybe you get something else. Maybe your Ozempic is just cleverly packaged saline. Or the pen has already been used for someone's experimental cat. You're 1 degree of separation from disaster at any given moment. But the demand is relentless. There's a quiet camaraderie in the struggle. A sense that you and your fellow seekers are part of a grand, slightly embarrassing adventure. The quest for the ultimate shortcut. Lost in all the madness is the reason Ozempic exists at all. Actual diabetes patients, left scrambling as the miracle weight loss crowd hoards what little supply remains. Support groups split into factions. Team weight loss and team glucose control. There's tension, resentment, and the occasional social media flame war. Doctors are caught in the crossfire, forced to triage patients and write apology letters to both camps. And through it all, pharmaceutical companies issue statements. We're doing everything we can, which in corporate speak means we have absolutely no idea how to control this circus. Late-night comedians have a field day. You start to wonder if there's a parallel universe where people are fighting over broccoli and gym memberships with the same feverish devotion. As you settle in for the night, your last thought is a strange one. Nothing says miracle like needing a safe word and a VPN just to get a prescription. Sleep well. Tomorrow, the fanny pack black market awaits, and you never know who'll be holding. You turn on the TV. Oprah's lost weight, and now so has half the nation. Celebrities flaunt their new look. The press loses its collective mind, and everyone else is left quietly eating salad, hoping for a prescription refill. Influence. Weaponized. It always starts the same way. One day, you're content with your daily struggles, mismatched socks, that stubborn 5 pounds, and the existential dread that comes with opening the fridge at 10 p.m. Then, a celebrity transformation flashes across your screen. It's Oprah, radiant and glowing, holding up her old jeans like a ceremonial flag. She credits her success to a miracle breakthrough. And suddenly, every conversation, at work, at brunch, on the group chat, turns to Ozempic. This isn't the first time. You remember when celebrities declared their undying love for cabbage soup, lemon water, or something called air yoga. But this feels different. Ozempic has that intoxicating air of science, of medical legitimacy. If Oprah, the queen of book clubs and bread baskets, can slim down with just a little injection, why can't you? Why can't everyone? Suddenly, your social media feeds are awash with dramatic reveals. A-list actors post Transformation Tuesday photos. Reality stars document every injection, every salad, every shrinking dress size. News anchors and lifestyle bloggers join in, and late-night comedians make jokes about the Ozempic summer. Magazine covers scream, Hollywood's not-so-secret weight loss secret, and talk shows invite doctors to explain what exactly a GLP-1 agonist is, preferably in under 30 seconds and with jazz hands. The ripple effect is immediate. Your friends are buzzing. Your cousin texts, "Did you see insert celebrity on Ellen? She looks amazing." The local yoga studio offers Ozempic-friendly meal planning workshops. Even your mom, who once thought kale was a fishing lure, is asking about that shot everyone is taking. Dinner parties turn into hushed confessions. Who's got a prescription? Who's on the waiting list? And who's pretending to do it naturally but suspiciously never finishes their bread. The result? A national wave of salad consumption, hopeful phone calls to primary care doctors. Appointment slots vanish. Insurance hotlines go up in flames. The miracle is suddenly out of reach for everyone except, well, celebrities. And that one guy from your office who always has a guy for everything. You're left nibbling arugula, half listening to Oprah's soothing voice, and wondering why your local pharmacy has a 6-month waiting list for a drug you'd never even heard of last year. It's not all envy and lettuce, though. The celebrity effect brings some real benefits. There's less stigma around weight loss medication. People who once suffered in silence are suddenly part of a national conversation. Doctors, prodded by relentless public curiosity, are forced to actually learn how the drug works and how to prescribe it responsibly. The whole country becomes a case study in collective medical enthusiasm and FOMO. But there's a downside too. The coverage glosses over the realities, side effects, costs, shortages, and the fact that for every miracle transformation there's a trail of folks who didn't see the same results. Social media's before and after shots don't show the late-night cravings, the endless insurance battles, or the long-term question marks about what happens after the hype fades. As the rich and famous get thinner, everyone else is left comparing, despairing, and chewing the same salad a little more bitterly. In the end, you realize this is as old as celebrity itself. From snake oil tonics hawked by silent film stars to fitness videos led by leotard-clad icons, the power of fame to move the masses is unbreakable. It's a feedback loop. Stars use a product. People notice. Demand explodes. Stars get richer. And the cycle repeats. So, as you settle in with your bowl of arugula, remember, behind every dazzling transformation is a team of stylists, nutritionists, surgeons, and probably a motivational playlist. Ozempic might be the latest miracle, but the real magic is society's endless willingness to believe that if a celebrity did it, maybe, just maybe, you can too. Sleep tight, and don't let the influencer dreams bite. Ozempic is here, but insurance companies are less excited. You discover your plan covers medieval bloodletting before it covers weight management. Meanwhile, billionaire CEOs buy in bulk and the rest of us eat ramen until payday. You'd think that in a world of self-driving cars, smart refrigerators, and dog DNA tests, Getting coverage for a modern, science-backed weight loss drug would be as easy as ordering takeout. Instead, it feels like you're back in the 1600s, pleading your case to a medieval barber surgeon. Sorry, your insurance portal says, we don't consider weight management a necessary intervention, but if you'd like a therapeutic leech and a slap on the back, that's fully covered. You call your insurance company, bracing yourself for a labyrinthine journey through Press 1 for English, and your wait time is approximately forever. The cheerful rep explains that Ozempic is primarily for diabetes, and unless you can prove you have at least 3 chronic conditions and a doctor's note written in the blood of your ancestors, it's not included. But I have metabolic syndrome, and my genes haven't fit since the Bush administration, you plead. They offer you a coupon for an over-the-counter probiotic and hang up. Meanwhile, headlines flash across your phone about tech moguls and Hollywood stars buying up so much Ozempic that pharmacies look like they've been looted after a Black Friday sale. On Instagram, a billionaire CEO posts about his health journey, posing with a perfectly arranged tray of organic fruit and an Ozempic pen, artfully displayed in the background. You're just trying to budget for groceries, wondering how much you could get for a slightly used elliptical on Facebook Marketplace. The cost hits hard. One injection costs more than your car insurance, Wi-Fi, and caffeine habit combined. Without coverage, you're left weighing your options, slim wallet or slim waist. Every prescription pickup feels like you're participating in an elite medical auction, bidding against hedge fund managers and the entire cast of Real Housewives. There's always someone richer, faster, and just a little bit more desperate for that last box behind the pharmacy counter. And let's not forget the endless paperwork. Your doctor submits a prior authorization, which is insurance code for beg for mercy, listing your BMI, your cholesterol, your tragic history with portion control, and the number of times you've tried kale in the past decade. The insurance company counters with a 15-page questionnaire. Please explain, in detail, why you can't just try walking and thinking thin thoughts. You start to suspect the insurance adjusters are powered by stationary bikes and schadenfreude. If, by some miracle, you get approved, the victory is bittersweet. Your copay is still large enough to fund a small Renaissance festival, but you clutch your prescription with the pride of someone who's just outwitted the system until the pharmacy texts to say they're out of stock, but will notify you when it's available, sometime between now and the end of days. This is the two-tiered world of the modern miracle drug. For the wealthy and well-connected, it's another tool in the arsenal. Just one more wellness hack between cryotherapy and personal IV infusions. For everyone else, it's an expensive daydream, a saga of calls, denials, and creative budgeting. Thin is just another luxury, available to those who can pay the entry fee. The irony is hard to miss. Obesity is called a public health crisis. The solution is sitting behind a paywall. You're bombarded with ads about health, longevity, and self-care. But the fine print always reads, some restrictions apply, mostly to you. It's hard not to feel like you're living in a real-life Monopoly game where Park Place is a covered prescription and you're still stuck on Baltic Avenue, eating noodles and negotiating with your deductible. As you lay your head down to sleep, wallet lighter, resolve heavier, you can't help but marvel at the system's creativity. You survived a day of automated phone menus, copay roulette, and billionaire humblebrags, all for the chance to maybe get a shot at the latest miracle. Sweet dreams. And may your next coverage appeal be swift, successful, and entirely free of leeches. That little voice in your head reads the fine print. May cause nausea, vomiting, spontaneous interpretive dance, and a brief desire to become a monk. It's the age-old truth. For every miracle drug, there's a horror story whispered at brunch. You know the drill. Every time a new wonder drug explodes onto the scene, it's only a matter of weeks before the side effect stories start rolling in. You hear them everywhere, at book club, in the break room, on a slightly unhinged Reddit thread at 3 a.m. One person's miracle is another's embarrassing phone call to the nurse hotline. And you, humble seeker of a shortcut, are left weighing your options. Skinny jeans or sudden existential crisis? History, it turns out, is absolutely loaded with cautionary tales. It's a parade of well-intentioned people chasing health and happiness straight into the arms of regret. Take those early diet pills in the 1940s, for example, the amphetamines that promised boundless energy and a slim silhouette. The fine print? Night sweats, heart palpitations, and a 6-month stint where you alphabetized the pantry at 2 a.m. and then couldn't remember your own address. A generation of jittery housewives learned that you could, in fact, be too productive. Or how about the infamous tapeworm diet? Victorian ads lured you in with visions of effortless weight loss. The reality was slightly more wiggly. After a few weeks of feeling lighter, you discovered that sharing your digestive tract with a roommate named Gerald meant more than just fewer pounds. The headaches, the fatigue, and the gentle, existential horror that came from knowing you had company at all hours, not listed on the label. Fast forward to the 90s, and Fen rides onto the scene like a pharmaceutical knight in shining armor. Pounds melt away, your confidence soars, and then, bam, your heart starts sending you Morse code warnings with every beat. Lawsuits fly, commercials vanish, and brunch conversations are suddenly full of, "Did you hear what happened to my neighbor's cousin's stepdad?" The takeaway is always the same. The bigger the promise, the weirder the afterparty. Modern miracle drugs are no different. Ozempic's warning label reads like a Mad Lib. May cause nausea, fatigue, headache, mild euphoria, brief periods of wishing you were still in the 90s, and, in rare cases, an irresistible urge to lecture strangers about insulin. You swap stories with fellow users about what foods are now off-limits, spoiler, most of them. Or that one time you accidentally sneezed mid-injection and ended up with a bruise the size of Rhode Island. You learn new phrases, Ozempic burp, semaglutide sweats, and the timeless. Is this supposed to be happening? It's not all doom and gloom. Sometimes the side effects are downright comedic. You hear tales of spontaneous sleepwalking, weird food cravings, pickle and peanut butter smoothie. Anyone? Or the infamous sudden, inexplicable hatred of avocados. Your group chat is full of memes about living, laughing, and low-key regretting everything. But beneath the jokes is a real anxiety. Because as much as you want to believe in miracles, you've learned that every cure comes with a catch. And it's not just weight loss. In the golden age of snake oil, people rubbed mercury on their skin to banish blemishes and were shocked to discover that glowing skin sometimes means mild radiation poisoning. Cocaine tooth drops worked wonders for your dental pain, but also left you with a sudden urge to retile your kitchen at midnight. Even the humble cabbage soup diet brought with it digestive effects that were best described as catastrophic. So, as you lie in bed tonight, take comfort in the knowledge that you're not alone. For every miracle, there's a million stories of weird rashes, public mishaps, and 1 or 2 people who accidentally joined a monastery. The real side effect of chasing miracles. A lifetime of cautionary tales, shared, remembered, and quietly laughed over as you dream of a cure with nothing to regret but the calories you saved. Sleep well and maybe avoid the grapefruit in the morning. You pop a pill and voila, feel lighter already. Turns out placebo is history's favorite medicine. Is it the drug, or is it just optimism marinated in wishful thinking? Science shrugs. Your brain throws confetti. The story begins in the dimly lit corners of human history, where hope has always been one of our most powerful and unpredictable medicines. You, seeking a miracle, have tried it all. The teas, the tinctures, the pills with names that sound like IKEA furniture. Sometimes, the only active ingredient is sheer belief. Your grandmother's miracle salve for aches? Spoiler, mostly beeswax and blind faith. That homeopathic sleep syrup you tried last week? Science says it's sugar water. Your brain says it's a lullaby in a bottle. It's not just you. The placebo effect is a timeless human superpower. People have cured headaches with bread pills, survived heartbreaks with chocolate, and conquered chronic pain with nothing but the assurance that this will help. You see it every day. Those viral stories about someone beating the odds, only to discover the pill they took was a sugar cube dressed for Halloween. In the world of weight loss, placebo is practically an industry. Every time a new miracle drug makes headlines, hope is the real prescription. You sign up, you pay your copay. You take the first dose with a glass of water and a side of anticipation. Within days, you feel different, lighter, more energetic. Convinced your metabolism is finally listening to reason. But is it the drug or just the thrill of possibility? Science, to its credit, tries to figure it out. Researchers run endless double-blind trials, tracking everything from blood pressure to general sense of well-being. Translation: did you smile at the mailman this week? The results are always the same. For some, the miracle is real. For others, the only thing shrinking is their skepticism. Even in studies of powerful new drugs like Ozempic, a surprising number of people in the placebo group lose weight, sleep better, and report feeling just a little more hopeful, all because their brains decided it was time for a win. Doctors, bless them, have a complicated relationship with placebos. On one hand, they know the effect is real, hope is powerful, and sometimes it's all a patient has left. On the other hand, nobody wants to be accused of peddling snake oil or handing out empty promises like Halloween candy. The modern solution? Supportive therapy, motivational interviewing, and, when all else fails, a prescription for optimism filled at the pharmacy of self-delusion. Placebos don't just work for pills. They live in the rituals we build around our miracle cures. The special diet, the expensive blender, the color-coded pill box, the magic workout gear that promises better results if you wear it on odd-numbered days. Each ritual is a gentle nudge to the brain. Something is happening, and you should believe. That belief can change everything, from the way you walk into a room to the way you digest your dinner. Of course, the placebo parade has its limits. You can't wish away every ailment. No amount of sugar pills will substitute for insulin, antibiotics, or common sense. But the placebo effect remains, quietly performing miracles in the background, teaching us that sometimes the best medicine is a little hope and a lot of patience. As you drift off tonight, let yourself marvel at the best, gentle absurdity of it all. Somewhere out there, people are losing weight, sleeping better, and surviving Mondays on nothing but faith in a colorful capsule. Science may shrug, but your brain is still tossing confetti, celebrating one more day where hope, disguised as medicine, works its quiet magic. Good night, and remember, sometimes believing is half the cure. You look around, some people drop pounds with ease, while others are left on the waiting list or worse, in medical bankruptcy. History repeats. Every miracle cure creates new winners, losers, and a lot of frustrated pharmacists. It's the oldest story in the medicine cabinet, Every time a miracle hits the shelves, someone's first in line, and someone else is peering longingly through the pharmacy window. Ozempic is no exception. On TV, you see celebrities and influencers celebrating their transformation, posing with salads and prescription pens in between sponsored content and sunlit vacation selfies. Meanwhile, you're stuck waiting for your refill, making desperate deals with the pharmacy tech, who looks like they've survived 3 pandemics and now fears nothing, not even an angry line of Ozempic enthusiasts. For some, the miracle happens overnight. They get the prescription, fill it without fuss, and soon show up at brunch, looking mysteriously refreshed and suspiciously smug. They talk about their journey in soft, Instagram-ready tones, never mentioning the price tag, the co-pays, or the private nutritionist quietly coaching them off-camera. Their success becomes the new gold standard, and everyone else is expected to catch up, or at least look like they're trying. But the system has cracks big enough to drive a semi-truck full of kale through. Some people wait months for an appointment. Some see their prescriptions denied by insurance with a single click. Others fork over their rent money just to get started, clinging to the hope that thinner will mean happier, healthier, more everything. If you're lucky, your plan covers it. If not, well, there's always another round of ramen and maybe a gently used treadmill from Craigslist. The gaps get even wider when you zoom out. Wealthy neighborhoods get stocked first, and private clinics cater to the wellness crowd who treat healthcare like a luxury subscription box. In less privileged areas, the shelves stay empty, the clinics overbooked, and the local support groups are more about survival than self-actualization. The miracle starts to look less like science and more like a members-only club with a velvet rope, a secret handshake, and a monthly auto-payment. It's not just a money thing. Language barriers, transportation, work schedules, these are the real gatekeepers of miracle medicine. Maybe you're working 2 jobs and can't call the insurance company during their very specific helpful hours. Maybe you don't speak the same medical jargon as the intake nurse. Or maybe, by the time you fight your way through the system, there's nothing left but an apologetic shrug and a pamphlet about lifestyle changes. For every person who posts a triumphant before and after, there's another quietly enduring the side effects, the financial fallout, or the emotional whiplash of hoping for a shortcut that never came. You see it in the online forums. People trading advice about discount cards, sharing secret tips for getting refills, or just venting about the surreal experience of fighting for a medication that seems reserved for someone else. Even pharmacists start looking like wartime codebreakers, scanning inventory lists and delivering bad news with the world-weary patience of someone who's seen it all. And what about the people Ozempic was originally designed for? Those with diabetes, who now find themselves rationing doses, caught in the middle of a wellness arms race they never signed up for. They're the silent casualties of the latest craze, navigating a healthcare landscape that's as unpredictable as a reality show, but with more paperwork and fewer commercial breaks. In the end, every miracle cure draws a line, inside or outside, covered or denied, winning or waiting. The history books are full of these stories, of insulin, penicillin, even the humble aspirin, starting as breakthroughs, becoming status symbols, and then, sometimes, settling back down into ordinary life long after the headlines fade. So tonight, as you lay back, remember, the real miracle isn't just in the medicine, it's in the tenacity to keep trying, the courage to advocate, and the stubborn hope that someday the next cure won't leave anyone behind. For now, breathe deep, rest easy, and remember you're not alone on this bumpy, bureaucratic ride. The line is long, but so is history. And eventually, it moves forward. You log on for medical advice. Now, instead of a doctor, you get Dr. Randy live streaming from a hot tub. Information moves faster than common sense, and suddenly everyone is an expert, especially the guy selling supplements from his garage. This is the new medical landscape, where your first stop for answers isn't the family physician with a weathered stethoscope, but a scroll through your favorite social media app. You're greeted by a parade of lab coats, some real, some suspiciously clean, some possibly borrowed from a Halloween store. Dr. TikTok, Dr. Insta, Dr. Snapchat, each ready to dispense quick wisdom, life hacks, and, if you're lucky, a discount code for their new probiotic tea. The rules have changed. Now, you don't need a decade of training to become a trusted medical authority. You just need a ring light, a catchy song, and the confidence to speak about complex pharmacology while dancing the Macarena. The latest trend? Explaining the intricacies of GLP-1 agonists between beauty tips and smoothie recipes. Here's how Ozempic works. Also, here's my mum's lasagna recipe and a coupon for protein powder. At first, it's fun. Your feed is full of miracle transformations and day in my life on Ozempic vlogs, complete with soft music and perfectly sliced avocados. But soon, the advice starts to blur. One doctor says to take the injection in the morning. Another swears by midnight. A third recommends standing on your head for maximum absorption. Every new video seems more urgent, more dramatic. You're doing Ozempic wrong. What your doctor won't tell you. And suddenly your health feels like a reality show with too many plot twists. It gets weirder. Medical influencers begin collaborating with brands, hawking herbal supplements and detox teas alongside legitimate prescription drugs. There's the biohacker who claims to have reverse-engineered Ozempic using only household ingredients and blind optimism. The comments section is a minefield of questionable advice, heartfelt testimonials, and that one guy who insists he lost 40 pounds on nothing but boiled cabbage and YouTube ads. You try to filter fact from fiction. Is the doctor in scrubs talking in front of a bookcase more trustworthy than the nurse in a Spider-Man costume? Should you trust the woman with 3 PhDs or the guy who starts every video with "Hey besties"? Let's talk about insulin resistance. Everyone sounds convincing, but no one can agree on anything except the importance of liking, subscribing, and smashing that follow button. Lost in all the noise are the real experts, the ones too busy running clinics to dance on camera, who quietly sigh as they field panicked calls from patients who heard on TikTok that all carbs are cancelled or that Ozempic doubles as wrinkle cream. Pharmacists everywhere grow a new grey hair each time someone tries to refill their miracle prescription based on a meme. The rise of Dr. TikTok brings some good, too. Stigma fades, and people start to talk about health more openly. You can learn what it's really like to inject yourself, to deal with side effects, to manage expectations. If you're lucky, you find a real, board-certified doctor who explains things calmly and never once says "link in bio." But it's a jungle out there, and the line between education and entertainment gets blurrier every day. In the end, you close the app, brain spinning with contradictory advice and a sudden craving for detox water. You realize you're not just living through a health revolution, but a content revolution. Everyone's an expert, but no one can agree on what expert even means. You promise yourself to schedule a real checkup soon. After all, the only thing more dangerous than the wrong advice is believing there's a single shortcut to wellness. So, as you drift off tonight, remember, information is power, but wisdom is knowing when to log off. Sleep well, and may your dreams be free of hot tubs, hashtags, and anyone trying to sell you weight loss tea before breakfast. Time for a reality check. What is Ozempic? How does it work? And why does every miracle drug eventually reveal itself to be just another molecule? Turns out, even the most miraculous cure has to face the laws of biochemistry and human impatience. Let's strip away the hashtags, the celebrity endorsements, and the TikTok dances, and get down to the science. The part of the story most likely to make your eyes glaze over at dinner parties, but absolutely crucial if you want to know what you're really injecting into your left thigh every week. Ozempic, known to scientists and pharmacy receipt printers as semaglutide, isn't just a random invention cooked up in a marketing brainstorm. It's a molecule that mimics something your body already makes, a hormone called GLP-1. GLP-1 is one of those things you never think about until you realize it might make your pants fit again. It's a hormone that gets released in your gut after you eat, quietly signaling your pancreas to release insulin and your brain to ease up on the hunger alarms. In short, it's your body's, "Hey, we're good, no need for a second donut messenger." Ozempic takes that little biological whisper and turns it into a megaphone. The result? Your blood sugar drops, your appetite wanes, and you, hopefully, say no thanks to late-night fridge raids a little more often. But here's where things get less magical and more mundane. When you take Ozempic, you're not becoming superhuman. You're not hacking your DNA or discovering a cheat code for life. You're just giving your body a bigger nudge in the right direction. It works really well for some people, especially those with type 2 diabetes, the folks it was originally designed for. It helps them control their blood sugar, avoid complications, and, as a nice side effect, lose some weight. The pharmaceutical world called it a breakthrough. Doctors called it promising. Social media called it the end of obesity. And suddenly every prescription pad in America was vibrating. But, as always, reality checks in. Not everyone sees miraculous results. Some lose a lot of weight. Others just lose the taste for pizza and develop an inexplicable fondness for saltines. Some find their appetite gone. Others feel queasy or develop Ozempic burps. Yes, it's a thing. Google at your own risk. And for some, the dream ends with a quiet trip to the bathroom to ponder the mysteries of nausea. The clinical trials were impressive, but not as dramatic as the headlines promised. People on Ozempic lost, on average, about 105% of their body weight, significant, but not exactly a sci-fi transformation. And the fine print? You have to keep taking it. Stop, and your appetite returns like a lost puppy who's just remembered where you keep the snacks. Science also warns of side effects. Beyond the obvious nausea, there's the risk of pancreatitis, gallbladder issues, and rare but serious complications that get tucked quietly into the end of every commercial in the world's fastest voiceover. And let's not forget, if you don't actually have diabetes, you're taking a drug meant for someone else's very real medical needs. But perhaps the biggest problem isn't in the molecule, it's in us. We want every miracle to be permanent, painless, and available without waiting on hold with insurance. We want Ozempic to be different from all the miracle drugs that came before. But biochemistry is a stubborn beast. Molecules don't care about trends, influencers, or whether your high school reunion is in 6 weeks. They work the way they work, on their own time, with their own set of rules. So as you tuck yourself in tonight, let yourself be grateful for science, for the real, messy, sometimes miraculous progress that helps people live better lives. But remember, every miracle drug is still just a molecule, and the real work, as always, is a marathon, not a meme. Sleep well and let your pancreas do the rest. You leaf through an old medical catalogue. Leech hats, mercury pills, radioactive spa water. For every Ozempic, there, were a dozen miracle predecessors, each more alarming than the last. Paging Dr. Quack. The history of medicine is, let's be honest, a highlight reel of questionable ideas dressed up as cutting-edge innovation. Tonight, you are the guest of honor at the most chaotic pharmaceutical launch party ever thrown, with centuries of dubious remedies swirling around you like the world's least appetizing punch bowl. It's easy to imagine a time when going to the doctor meant risking everything from medieval bloodletting to a brisk session with a red-hot poker for your humors. Let's start with the classics. Leeches were once the undisputed rock stars of the medical world. Got a headache? Leech it. Aching joints? More leeches. Mild, seasonal depression, mysterious skin rash, existential angst? There's a leech for that. Physicians kept jars of them in their offices like some people keep spare change. The real miracle wasn't weight loss. It was surviving the cure without being bled dry, both literally and financially. Then, there were the pills. Mercury was a fan favorite. A substance so toxic it now comes with its own hazmat warnings. Yet for centuries it was the go-to cure for everything from constipation to syphilis. Imagine waking up every morning, dutifully swallowing your daily dose of heavy metal, and wondering why you're suddenly developing an unusual enthusiasm for finger painting. Side effects included tremors, hallucinations, and, in extreme cases, joining the choir invisible. If that wasn't enough, the early 20th century introduced the world to the wonders of radioactive spa water. Radiothor and radium water were sold in gleaming bottles, advertised as liquid sunshine and invigorating to the bones. They were all the rage, until customers started to glow in the dark, lose their teeth, and develop symptoms best described as super-villain origin story. The launch party fizzled, but the lawsuits glowed for years. Snake oil, the original miracle, elixir, rounds out the lineup. Traveling salesmen rolled into towns with a horse-drawn wagon and a patter that could sell ice to penguins. One drop cures what ails you. The catch? It usually cured absolutely nothing, unless you count a temporary boost in hope as a medical benefit. If you've ever been tempted by a late-night infomercial, just remember, the spirit of snake oil is alive and well. The 19th century brings us to cocaine tooth drops, because nothing says progress like numbing your molars with the same stuff that would later inspire 1,000 regrettable decisions on Wall Street. Children teethed happily, and a little too energetically, while parents marveled at their newfound pep. If you lived through this era, you learned to measure miracles not in results, but in how fast your jaw moved. Of course, the greatest hits don't stop there. People rubbed arsenic on their skin to brighten their complexion, inhaled chloroform for nerves, and swallowed vibrant tonic made of everything from turpentine to crushed pearls. Each product came with a dazzling promise and an even more dazzling list of side effects, most of which were discovered the hard way. Fast forward to today, and Ozempic's launch party seems almost quaint by comparison. There are no leeches in the waiting room, no glowing spa treatments, and no one's jaw is moving at the speed of sound. Instead, the miracle comes neatly packaged, backed by double-blind studies, and delivered with a disclaimer read, "At auctioneer speed." But the desire is the same as ever, an easy answer, a shortcut, a little hope with every dose. So as you drift off, grateful your medicine cabinet is leech-free. Remember, Pharma's greatest hits are a medley of hope, hype, and sometimes a lot of hazardous waste. Every miracle has its moment. It's what comes after, the hard lessons, the slow progress, the real science that sticks around for the encore. Sleep well, and may your only side effects tonight be sweet dreams and a mild case of historical gratitude. You watch the cultural cycle repeat. One year it's aerobics and jazzercise. The next, it's unpronounceable injections. The only thing that doesn't change? Our obsession with being just 10 pounds lighter. Pop culture is a conveyor belt of weight loss promises, each shinier and sweatier than the last. You can trace its evolution through the decades, each one marked by a new outfit, a new revolutionary move, and a new set of kitchen gadgets designed to flatten, squeeze, jiggle, or, more recently, inject your problems away. If you close your eyes and listen carefully, you can still hear the distant echo of a VHS tape rewinding, Jane Fonda urging you to feel the burn, and a living room full of people in spandex leotards attempting to survive a 20-minute step routine. In the 1980s, fitness became a spectacle. Aerobics was less about health and more about the performance, high kicks, jazz hands, and the unspoken rule that your socks must be taller than your self-esteem. Every mall had a storefront selling neon headbands and tiny dumbbells, and every TV morning show featured at least one sweaty segment on getting Beachbody ready. Entire families gathered around the TV not to watch sitcoms, but to contort their way through aerobic routines, occasionally tripping over a coffee table or pulling a muscle in a place they didn't know existed. The 90s brought a new set of icons. Infomercial titans hawking thigh masters, ab rollers, and mysterious tapes that promised to melt fat away in just 5 minutes a day. The phrase, "But wait, there's more," became the soundtrack to your midnight snacking. Weight loss became a business empire, built on the hope that one more gadget, one more tape, or one more shaker of slimming powder would finally unlock the door to effortless thinness. You weren't just working out, you were collecting points in the grand sweepstakes of self-improvement. Then the millennium hit, and things went digital. DVDs replaced tapes, and fitness instructors became early influencers, selling exclusive routines on their websites and hosting virtual boot camps in the days before Zoom was a household word. Eat clean, train dirty, they said. You did your best, but your idea of eating clean was still washing the potato before microwaving it. And just when you thought you'd seen it all, along came social media, an endless scroll of Fitspo influencers, challenge hashtags, and time-lapse videos of people shrinking before your eyes. Number Transformation Tuesday became a ritual. Number Meal Prep Monday was aspirational. The comparison game hit warp speed as you watch strangers lose weight in 30 seconds, complete with filters, lighting, and a soundtrack guaranteed to guilt you out of that third cookie. Now, in the age of number Ozempic, you scroll past videos of injections, side effect diaries, and before and after shots that look suspiciously well lit. The cycle continues. A new promise, a new shortcut, a new meme to chase. Weight loss, once an aerobic fever dream, is now a digital trend, wrapped up in hashtags and testimonials from people you've never met. You can buy the gear, follow the accounts, and still find yourself, late at night, whispering to your fridge about the miracle you're sure is just around the corner. But beneath all the glitz, the gadgets, and the hashtags, one thing endures: the dream of being just a little bit lighter, a little bit newer, a little more enough. The icons and the platforms may change, but the desire is the same. You watch as pop culture reinvents the wheel every decade, then calls it revolutionary, and you can't help but laugh at the predictability of it all. So tonight, as you scroll through one last amazing transformation before bed, remember, the only real transformation is learning to enjoy the ride, jazz, hands, and all. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with neon leotards, kind mirrors, and just the right amount of healthy skepticism. You're on the scale, negotiating with gravity. For centuries, the miracle cure always comes with a side of shame. From corsets to counting carbs, society's real addiction is to impossible standards and selling solutions for them. The morning starts with the ritual. Step on, hold your breath, and pray that physics is in a good mood. It never is. The number blinks up at you with the cold indifference of a bored DMV worker. And suddenly, you're reliving every carb from the past month. This moment, the tiny, silent duel between you and your bathroom scale, has been rehearsed by countless generations. The tools change, but the tension remains. Whether it's a 19th century corset laced so tight you can't sneeze, or a 21st century app that records your every bite, the shame game is always a bestseller. Society, it seems, is built on the business of making you feel just not quite enough. Advertisers whisper that you're a single product away from perfection. Try this tonic, wear this belt, inject this serum, and your life will finally begin. Every era has its miracle, and every miracle has its penance. The guilt that comes from falling short of an impossible ideal. The Victorians had fainting couches and smelling salts. You have notifications reminding you that your friend just completed a 5K, while you finish your second muffin and contemplate a third. It's not just the outside pressure, it's the inside voice too. The one that keeps score and demands confessions. How many calories? How many steps? Did you resist dessert? Or did you sin with a second helping? The shame game thrives in silence, in the secret deals you make with yourself, the unspoken competition at family dinners, the coded language of being good or falling off the wagon. You keep the tally in your head, like a medieval monk tracking sins. Except your only crime is being human. And if the scale isn't enough, there's always society to pick up the slack. Pop culture churns out new standards every season, each more unattainable than the last. Social media, that digital funhouse mirror, magnifies every perceived flaw. Filters smooth out reality, wellness influencers sell you solutions, and even your favorite celebrity admits to struggling with body image right before launching a new supplement line. You try to laugh it off, but it's not always funny. Shame sells. The diet industry knows it, fashion knows it, even your local pharmacy knows it. You're offered a dizzying menu of fixes. Meal plans, miracle teas, vibrating belts, prescription pens. Some work a little, some don't work at all. All of them come wrapped in the silent promise that thinness equals worth, and that worth can be measured, bought, or injected. But here's the secret history they never print on the label. Everyone's struggling. Behind every before and after photo is a backstory of doubt, slip-ups, and midnight snacks eaten over the sink. The real miracle, as it turns out, isn't the weight loss. It's the resilience to keep going, the humor to laugh at yourself, and the wisdom to realize you're more than the number on a tiny digital screen. So tonight, as you brush your teeth and prepare for tomorrow's negotiation with gravity, remember, shame is a lousy motivator, but a fantastic storyteller. The real addiction isn't to carbs, but to the hope that next time will be enough. You already are. Sleep well, and dream of a world where the only thing weighed is your sense of humor. And it always comes out just right. You visit your doctor and find them on Instagram, unboxing PR packages. Are you getting medical advice or a sponsored ad? It's all a little blurry. And somehow, your prescription comes with a discount code. Welcome to the era where stethoscopes meet ring lights, and white coats are paired with like and subscribe buttons. The old-school doctor's office, faintly scented with antiseptic and outdated magazines, has been upgraded to the influencer studio, complete with backdrops, brand partnerships, and a casual mention of their favorite protein bar, in between checking your blood pressure and giving you lifestyle advice. You sit across from your physician, half expecting them to ask, "So, what brings you in today, and have you tried this new skincare serum from Dr. Glowy Face?" It all starts innocently enough. You follow your doctor on social media to keep up with health tips. Maybe a little advice about flu season. Maybe the occasional meme about hand washing. But soon the posts get shinier. Suddenly, there's a Wellness Wednesday, sponsored by a supplement company. A Mental Health Monday featuring calming teas. And, of course, the miracle drug of the month promo code in bio. The line between medicine and marketing grows fuzzier than your vision after a double dose of antihistamines. Gone are the days when medical advice was delivered in hushed tones behind closed doors. Now it comes with hashtags, giveaways, and unboxing videos where your doctor explains the side effects of Ozempic while slicing into a sponsored fruit basket. You can't help but wonder if your annual checkup is going to end with a selfie and a discount on collagen gummies. Trust, that fragile cornerstone of healthcare, suddenly feels negotiable. When your doctor posts about the latest game-changing injection, you find yourself squinting at the caption, hunting for number ad or number sponsored. Is this recommendation backed by years of medical study, or did it come in a gift bag at last week's influencer retreat? The authority of the white coat is now shared with the algorithms, the sponsors, and a global audience waiting to double tap on wellness. The consequences sneak up on you. You find yourself second-guessing every prescription. Is this the best medication or just the best branded one? Does your doctor's enthusiasm come from the latest research or the latest promotional shipment? Even the waiting room gets an upgrade, with glossy brochures for miracle products and QR codes. You can scan for a chance to win a month of detox shakes. The influencer doctor phenomenon isn't all bad. You get access to more information than ever, in snackable, relatable formats. Complex science gets broken down into dance challenges and easy-to-follow charts. The stigma around once taboo subjects melts away when your favorite MD talks openly about anxiety, weight struggles, or yes, even digestive issues on their stories. If you're lucky, you find a doctor who uses their platform to educate and empower, not just sell. But when the doctor becomes a brand, medicine itself becomes a marketplace. Patients become customers. Reviews and engagement metrics matter as much as recovery rates. The temptation to chase viral fame, lucrative partnerships, brand synergy can sometimes drown out the slow, unglamorous work of actual healing. So you leave your appointment with a handful of free samples, a follow request, and an uneasy feeling. Are you a patient, a follower, or both? You're grateful for the access, but miss the certainty of knowing where your advice is coming from. The next time you see your doctor online, winking into the camera, pushing a probiotic, or raving about Ozempic, remember that trust takes years to build and only one hashtag to question. As you lay your head down tonight, let yourself rest in the knowledge that it's okay to ask questions about your health, your doctor's motives, and whether anyone actually needs that many wellness teas. Sleep tight, and may your dreams be free of number ads, number spawn, and anyone trying to sell you hope in a bottle. You wake up, the miracle wears off, and the world moves on to the next big thing. Side effects linger, old habits return, and history, once again, shrugs its shoulders. Well, That was fun. It always ends this way. For a while, you're at the center of a transformation, part of a hopeful crowd chasing the next miracle, sharing stories in comment sections, waiting for the magic to settle in and rewrite your life. The medicine, the diet, the miracle, it works. Sometimes spectacularly, sometimes just enough to keep you believing. The group chats overflow with testimonials. You compare notes on dosage, side effects, what to eat, what to avoid, how to dodge questions from nosy co-workers who suddenly want to know your secret. But the calendar pages turn, the excitement fades into routine. You start to notice that, even as the hype wears off, the effort required hasn't disappeared. You've traded one set of struggles for another. Planning refills, negotiating side effects, and learning to live with whatever your new normal has become. The scale doesn't care about hashtags, and neither does your metabolism. You look around and realize that the miracle you believed in was never meant to be permanent. Like every miracle before it, it's subject to the laws of biology, economics, and, frankly, boredom. The headlines get smaller. The celebrities move on. The miracle's promised land turns out to be a rest stop, one with better lighting, perhaps, but still just a pause on the longer journey of being human. Sometimes there's a gentle regret. You wonder if you could have made it work just a little longer, if you'd only stuck to the rules, if you'd only doubled down on the celery and skipped the birthday cake. Other times, there's relief, a sense that you've survived something, another trend, another wave of magical thinking, and you're still standing, slightly bruised, maybe wiser, and possibly a little lighter in both senses of the word. And then, the side effects. Not just the ones in the warning label, but the ones no one mentions. The weird anxiety over every new ache. The suspicion that your old habits are lurking behind every pantry door. The confusion of returning to a life without weekly injections or monthly weigh-ins. The people around you start talking about the next miracle, the next pill, the next secret. You feel left out. And, paradoxically, a little free. History, as always, is the quiet observer. It's seen this cycle more times than you can count. The excitement, the adoption, the backlash, the quiet fade. Out. Miracle drugs become cautionary tales. Fad diets become footnotes. Each era claims its revolution, only to set it aside for the next big thing. You realize you've inherited a tradition not of weight loss, but of perpetual reinvention. Yet, in the quiet aftermath, something gentle takes root. You learn to find your own pace again, to notice hunger and fullness, to rediscover the taste of food without a side of guilt, to laugh about the chaos of the journey instead of mourning its end. You catch yourself encouraging someone else. Take it slow. Don't believe the hype. You're already more than enough. And in that moment, you sense the real magic. Resilience, community, and the unshakable hope that even when the latest trend fades, you are still here, still trying, still you. So, as you pull the covers up and let the noise of yesterday's miracle fade to a soft, reassuring silence, remember, the aftermath isn't failure. It's just the next chapter. You've been through it before, and you'll navigate it again. Sleep well, knowing that the real miracle is your ability to keep moving forward, no matter what history decides to sell next. Strangely, a few years later, you find yourself nostalgic for the miracle that didn't quite work. Maybe it was the community, the hope, or just the fun of believing. Humans, we never learn, but we do reminisce. There's something oddly comforting about looking back on your greatest almost successes, the fads that swept you up, the The diets you swore would change everything. The little white pills or grapefruits that filled your fridge. Each one comes with its own highlight reel. You remember the first week, the group enthusiasm, the secret handshakes at the gym, the way your friends all said, "This time, it's different." For a little while, you were part of something, and honestly, that felt just as good as any number on the scale. Nostalgia for old miracles is a special kind of amnesia. The side effects, the disappointment, the weird cravings, the midnight existential crises, all fade into the background. What sticks is the camaraderie. The late-night texts swapping recipes, the shared complaints about chalky shakes, the way you'd all collectively try to ignore that one person who somehow gained weight on the no food except celery diet. You miss the anticipation, the buzz, the earnestness of the before and after photo shoots, even if the after looked suspiciously like the before with better lighting. It's not just you. Every generation, it seems, grows sentimental about its failed fix. Your parents tell stories about grapefruit breakfasts and jazzercise with a twinkle in their eye. We looked ridiculous, but we had fun, your aunt says, describing her collection of neon leotards and the time she nearly sprained an ankle on a thigh master. Your grandparents laugh about cod liver oil and the original weight loss gum, which, it turns out, was mostly sawdust and hope. There's a powerful magic in communal optimism, the belief that this time would be the answer. Maybe it was the infomercials, or the dramatic magazine covers, or the monthly weigh-ins at the local church basement. Maybe it was the rituals, taping progress charts to the fridge, writing motivational post. It's on the mirror, scheduling your life around weigh-in day. Sure, the miracle rarely lasted, but the stories did. Sometimes you even miss the rituals of struggle. The endless search for a specific ingredient, the way you'd pool resources to split the cost of the latest must-have supplement, the strange sense of accomplishment from surviving a week on cabbage soup and blind faith. The discomfort and inconvenience become funny stories, told and retold, like war stories for the slightly overfed. And let's not forget the little victories. However temporary, fitting into a smaller pair of jeans, making it through a tough workout, feeling a little lighter in body or spirit for a day or two. Even the failures had a certain charm. The dramatic flinging of a scale into the closet, the never-again declarations, the bittersweet taste of freedom when you finally had that forbidden snack. The nostalgia machine is powered by something deeper, the desire for hope. Even if each miracle turns out to be a mirage, there's always another one waiting on the horizon. You know it's probably too good to be true, but a part of you hopes anyway. And in that hope, you find community, creativity, even joy. Because sometimes, believing together is the best miracle of all. So as you close your eyes tonight, let yourself remember your own journey, with all its wild detours and failed shortcuts. There's comfort in knowing you're part of a long tradition of dreamers, people who chase the next big thing, who laugh at themselves, and who never quite give up on the idea that tomorrow might be just a little bit easier. Sleep well, surrounded by the ghosts of miracles past, and the gentle certainty that you'll be ready to try again the very next time hope comes calling. After each craze fades, real science quietly cleans up the mess. Incremental progress, boring clinical trials, and advice to eat more vegetables. It's not glamorous, but it actually works, eventually. You blink awake from the high of the latest miracle cure, only to discover the world has gone back to its regularly scheduled programming. There are no viral hashtags for randomized controlled trials, no trending TikToks for long-term metabolic studies. Instead, you're left with scientists in white coats, the kind that don't come with a promo code, laboring in quiet, fluorescent-lit labs, measuring out progress in teaspoons and footnotes. No one's live streaming a fiber supplement clinical trial. You'll never see a dance challenge about portion control. But this is how it always goes. The miracle fades, and the slow grind of actual progress picks up the pieces. The researchers are still there, unfazed by fads, peering into petri dishes and arguing over the merits of kale. Their job is less about hype and more about humility, failing, learning, repeating, all in service of answers that are slow, unsatisfying, and occasionally life-changing. It isn't pretty. Science likes its results incremental. Groundbreaking usually means shaving a fraction of a percentage off your risk, or figuring out that, yes, eating a vegetable now and then does, in fact, improve your odds. These aren't revelations that will make you leap from your chair, but they are the bricks that build the foundation for actual health. It's a marathon, not a meme. Occasionally, the slow and steady wins big. Vaccines, antibiotics, clean water, none of these started as a miracle. They began as unpopular, unglamorous, and occasionally ridiculed ideas. The first scientist who suggested washing hands in hospitals was laughed out of the room. The guy who figured out the link between smoking and cancer was basically told to take a walk, preferably not by the hospital's designated ashtray. But science persisted. Over time, the data built up, and the world quietly, begrudgingly got better. With each passing craze, you watch as the recommendations that never go out of style resurface. Eat vegetables, move a little more, sleep when you can. These are not the slogans that sell out stadiums, but they do, slowly and stubbornly, work. The real revolution is not in a bottle, an app, or a hashtag. It's in the cumulative effect of small, boring changes that add up to something miraculous. You realize that the real heroes of medicine are not the miracle makers, but the myth-busters, the ones who run the trials, who check the numbers, who say not so, fast when the next big thing comes knocking. They're the reason we don't still bleed people with leeches or rub mercury on our gums. They're the patient voices in the wilderness, reminding you that it's okay to ignore the hype, that maybe eat a salad isn't a conspiracy, and that change, when it comes, usually arrives in a lab coat, not a red carpet dress. It can be disappointing, this return to reality. After the excitement of the miracle, it's hard to settle for steamed broccoli and brisk walks, but science never promises easy, only better. And sometimes that's enough. The world gets healthier, a little at a time, and you find a strange comfort in the slow, inevitable march of evidence. There will always be another craze, another miracle, another round of hope. But behind the curtain, real science will still be there, tidying up, recalibrating, and quietly moving humanity forward. So tonight, as you drift off, let yourself celebrate the boring brilliance of science. Sleep well, and know that even if the answers aren't glamorous, they're real, and they'll be there, ready, when the next miracle finally fades away. Every generation promises, this time it's different. Spoiler, it isn't. The names change, but the pattern is eternal. Hope, hype, regret, repeat. Humans, undefeated champions at reinventing disappointment. It's a dance older than disco, a cycle more predictable than Monday morning emails. You watch it play out from the sidelines, then one day realize you're starring in the latest revival. The names on the bottle change: Ozempic, fen-phen, grapefruit, tapeworm, lard rubs, detox teas, but the choreography stays the same. Someone with perfect teeth and an earnest smile swears it's the answer. You want to believe. You join the line, buy the product, sign up for the newsletter, and begin to wait for the miracle. At first, the hope feels electric. There's a hush of possibility, a rush of optimism, a community of fellow believers sharing tips, tricks, and coded encouragements. You've got this. This is your year. Trust the process. You organize your fridge. Download the tracking app. Stock up on protein powder and dust off the blender you bought during the last health craze. Maybe you make a vision board. Maybe you convince your spouse to try it with you. It all feels wonderfully new, even as history sighs in the background. But history's patience is infinite. It's seen this episode before, centuries worth of the same plot twists. The first few weeks bring excitement, group selfies, and polite side-eye from your pets. Then, inevitably, things get complicated. The side effects pop up. The instructions are harder to follow than advertised. The hype machine begins to sputter, and the promise effortless starts to look a lot like, well, effort. Then comes the regret. Someone posts a cautionary tale, the weird rash, the unexpected expense, the time they fainted at a wedding after trying to combine their miracle supplement with actual food. The laughter at brunch is tinged with awkward confessions and a gentle never again. You find yourself back on the internet, searching for the next big thing, already forgetting the last one. Your blender gathers dust, your vision board peels from the wall, and your inbox fills with "We miss you" emails from the product you abandoned. It's easy to judge from the future. You look back at old miracle cures and wonder, how could they have fallen for that? It's only when you're knee-deep in the present's new craze that you realize how convincing hope can be. The packaging is shinier. The science sounds smarter. The testimonials are more emotional. The eternal loop persists because humans are storytellers, especially when it comes to stories about change, redemption, and shortcuts to happiness. But maybe that's the real lesson. Hope is hard to kill. Even as history stacks up cautionary tales like unpaid medical bills, you still lean forward when someone whispers about a new cure. You click the link, you sign up, you try again, just in case. Maybe it's stubbornness. Maybe it's optimism. Maybe it's a refusal to believe that life's most persistent problems require the oldest, slowest solutions. Spoiler, they usually do. You realize, as you tuck yourself in, that the cycle isn't just about disappointment. It's about resilience. Sure, we reinvent disappointment with the enthusiasm of Olympic athletes, but we also reinvent hope, laughter, and the ability to try again, no matter how many times the loop resets. Maybe one day, the pattern will break. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the pattern itself that keeps us moving forward. So tonight, as you fall asleep, celebrate your undefeated record. History may be full of miracle cures and broken promises, but it's also full of people who refuse to give up on a better tomorrow. Sleep well, champion of the eternal loop. There's always another new thing waiting on the horizon, and you, undaunted, will be there to try it. You snuggle down, grateful that your greatest health risk tonight is a snack before bed. Maybe you didn't find a miracle, but you've survived another cycle of history's wildest promises. Tomorrow we'll do it all again, hopefully, with a little more wisdom and a lot more sleep. There's a special kind of peace that settles over you at the end of a day spent chasing and dodging the latest shortcut to happiness. It's the peace of survival, of still being here, having weathered a storm of hope, hype, and hashtags without accidentally signing up for a mail-order tapeworm. or bartering away your last box of ramen for a half-used injection pen. For all the wild detours history has taken you on, the most comforting part is realizing you're back in bed, safe and mostly sound, with only your pillow's opinion of your body to worry about. In the quiet, you let your mind wander through the parade of miracles you've witnessed or even tried. The detox teas, the grapefruit diets, the little pills and big promises. You think of all the times you've counted, measured, worried, and whispered to yourself in the mirror. All the trends that came and went, leaving behind new words, new gadgets, and, occasionally, new friends found in support groups or late-night recipe exchanges. Each cycle brought its own hopes and heartbreaks, but also new reasons to laugh at yourself, at history, at the human capacity for believing, maybe this time. Tonight, though, you realize you've landed in the one miracle that actually matters. Rest. No side effects. No need for prescription, no discount code or influencer's approval. Just the simple magic of letting go, for a little while, of every pressure to be better, lighter, or more. In this moment, your worth is not measured in pounds or BMI or the number of steps you manage to squeeze into your lunch break. It's measured in breaths, in softness, in the quiet gratitude that you're alive, comfortable, and not living in an era where leeches are a prescription. You remember that history's real heroes weren't just the ones who invented new cures, but the ones who endured. The peasants who survived famine, the families who lived through wars and epidemics, the parents who tucked their children into straw beds with bellies half full but hearts somehow still hopeful. Every generation has dreamed of an easier life, a secret shortcut, a miracle just out of reach. And every generation, in the end, has found comfort in the ordinary miracles: warmth, safety, and a chance to rest. Maybe that's the wisdom you carry forward. You know that the real miracle isn't in a bottle, a pen, or a hashtag, but in the tiny, ordinary luxuries you forget to celebrate. Clean sheets, a roof over your head, the taste of food that isn't boiled cabbage, the freedom to turn off your phone, close your eyes, and let your body heal itself without supervision from Dr. TikTok or Nurse Keto. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, say thank you to science, to stubbornness, to the long line of hopeful humans who got you here. Thank you to the body that puts up with your experiments, to the mind that never stops learning, to the heart that keeps hoping even after 1,000 miracle cures. And most of all, thank you to the quiet, unremarkable comfort of bedtime. You made it through another cycle. That's enough. Sleep well, champion of the ordinary. May your dreams be free of side effects and full of the peace that comes from gratitude, history's most reliable, underrated miracle of all. Good night. You're in your kitchen, surrounded by celery juice, vinegar shots, and enough supplements to start your own apothecary. The promise: all natural weight loss, just like your ancestors, who mostly lost weight by not having enough food. Every year, new natural cures promise to do what spinach and willpower cannot, usually ending in disappointment and the world's most expensive pee. It always starts innocently enough. Maybe you stumble across a blog post, or a friend at yoga class whispers about a miracle cleanse made from things you can find in your fridge if you ignore the expiration dates. Logic is seductive. If it's natural, it must be safe, healthy, and, best of all, easy. You fill your cart with ginger root, lemon, mysterious seeds, and enough kale to choke a goat. Soon, your kitchen counter looks like a farmer's market exploded during a full moon. First up, celery juice, the green elixir that's supposed to flush away every sin from your last 3 birthdays. You dutifully juice stalk after stalk, ignoring the bitter taste and the fact that your juicer is weeping quietly in the corner. By day 3, you've spent more money on celery than your grandparents spent on rent, and your digestive system is running a marathon you never signed up for. Still, you cling to the hope that somewhere, deep in the chlorophyll, is the secret to effortless thinness. Then come the vinegar shots, apple cider. Naturally, because regular vinegar isn't influencer approved, you throw back a tablespoon every morning, making a face only your dentist could love. The vinegar is supposed to rev your metabolism, stabilize blood sugar, and detox your soul. What it actually does is burn a hole in your esophagus and make you late for work as you try to rinse away the taste of regret. Supplements follow: green tea extract, Garcinia, Cambogia, acai, goji, turmeric, and enough superfoods to keep a wellness blog running for years. You build a morning routine that involves swallowing more pills than a Victorian invalid. The instructions are vague, the studies are vague, and your credit card statement is very, very specific. It doesn't stop there. There are teas that promise to flatten your belly, mostly by making you visit the bathroom every 20 minutes, powders that claim to balance your hormones, and tinctures with ingredient lists that sound suspiciously like a potion from Beth. You dabble in oil pulling, charcoal lemonade, hot lemon water, and maybe even try to order a mystery root powder from the internet that promises to melt fat and double happiness. If your ancestors could see your kitchen, they'd wonder why you're willingly drinking the stuff they invented toilets to avoid. Of course, the results rarely match the hype. Maybe you lose a pound. Maybe it's water. Maybe it's faith in celery. More likely, you just develop a heightened sense of skepticism and a deep spiritual connection to your bathroom. You swap stories with friends about the time you almost detoxed, or the month you smelled vaguely like a salad bar. Everyone's got a favorite disappointment: the chia seed phase, the coconut oil incident, the week of eating nothing but bone broth and hope. But underneath the absurdity is something universal: the search for an easy answer. The hope that nature, in all her leafy glory, might cut you a break. It's comforting to believe that somewhere out there, a berry or a root or a shot of something sour could fix what ails you. The truth? Your ancestors probably would have killed for a bowl of pasta and a reliable refrigerator. So as you wind down tonight, surrounded by your half-used jars and half-finished smoothies, take comfort in the knowledge that you're not alone. Natural remedies are just another chapter in the grand story of human hope, innovation, and, occasionally, self-inflicted digestive distress. Sleep well, and may your dreams be free of celery, at least until breakfast. It's 1995. A man in a top hat stands on a wagon, promising you instant slenderness if you just buy his patented Slim EZ elixir. The bottle contains mysterious herbs, a suspicious amount of alcohol, and enough hope to power a small village. You hand over your coins, take a swig, and, surprise, the only thing shrinking is your bank account. This is the golden age of patent medicines and traveling medicine shows, where the only thing faster than the weight loss claims is the sleight of hand. The showman's voice booms over the crowd, spinning tales of miraculous transformations and secret recipes passed down by ancient civilizations, usually invented on the spot. There are testimonials, too. Glowing reviews from satisfied customers who suspiciously resemble his cousins, neighbors, or a very eager local goat. Everyone leans in, captivated by the promise that a single bottle could solve all your troubles, shrink your waist, and maybe even teach you to dance. You watch as jars and bottles pass from hand to hand, each more brightly labeled than the last. There's Dr. Goodbody's invigorating tonic, Madame Svelte's figure drops, and of course, Slim EZ elixir. guaranteed to activate slenderizing glands and eliminate excess flesh overnight. Ingredients are a closely guarded secret. But let's just say, if you lined up every plant, mineral, and intoxicant known to humankind, you'd probably find most of them in a single dose. What they lack in scientific rigor, they make up for in spectacle. The showman winks, the band strikes up a ragtime tune, and the crowd laughs as a volunteer steps up to the stage for a live demonstration. Watch as she drinks Slim EZ and loses inches before your very eyes. It's mostly illusion, and the tightest corset money can buy. But nobody complains. Swept away in the communal joy of hope, hype, and high-proof alcohol. You notice the medicine show isn't just about the products, it's a social event, an escape from daily drudgery. Neighbors gather to swap stories, trade recipes, and marvel at the latest wonders. For a few hours, everyone is united in the pursuit of something better, lighter, or at least more interesting than another evening at home with cabbage soup. The laughter is real, the sense of possibility infectious. Even if the miracle is mostly ethanol and a dash of peppermint oil, as you take your first swig, there's a heady rush. Not from sudden weight loss, but from the suspiciously high alcohol content. Your cheeks flush, your worries fade, and you start to believe that maybe, just maybe, this is the answer you've been waiting for. It's easy to ignore the next morning's headache, or the way your stomach protests a concoction that could double as paint thinner. If the bottle says miracle, who are you to argue? But even in 1995, there are skeptics. The town doctor rolls his eyes from the edge of the crowd, muttering about placebo effects and liver damage. Local pharmacists try to sell their own blends, launching a miniature price war in the dusty main street. And, inevitably, the government begins to take notice, inching ever closer to regulation. A word that sends a chill through every showman's top hat. Eventually, the wagon rolls on, leaving a trail of empty bottles and new stories in its wake. The medicine shows fade, replaced by mail-order catalogs, and, later, chain drugstores. But the spirit of Slim EZ lives on. Every time a new instant cure goes viral, every time someone promises results guaranteed, and every time hope sells better than reason. So tonight, as you settle in, marvel at the ingenuity of the human heart. The way we'll line up for a bottle of promises, cheer for a show, and believe, just for a moment, that miracles can be bought for the price of a coin. Sleep well, and may your dreams be free of elixirs, unless they come with a complimentary magic show. You open a magazine and see a headline, "Lose weight while you sleep. No diet, no exercise, just science." Could it be true? You take the pill, settle into your armchair, and wait. 5 hours later, you're still on the couch, just a little bit poorer, and, weirdly, more awake than you planned to be at 2 a.m. This is the modern miracle the world's been waiting for. Exercise in a pill. Why sweat when you could swallow? Why stretch when you could snack and shrink at the same time? The ads are everywhere, showing impossibly fit people lounging luxuriously, grinning with the serene confidence of someone who has never set foot in a gym locker room or tangled with a sports bra. In a society built on shortcuts, effortless sells better than enlightenment. You buy in, lured by glossy promises and testimonials from people with names suspiciously similar to professional models. "I lost 20 pounds and gained a whole new lease on life," says Janice, 42, from Omaha. "My pants fit better and my energy is through the roof," chirps Kyle, 27, who may or may not be a stock photo. The instructions are simple. Take one pill with water, then resume all regular, non-exercise activities. Bonus points for snacks consumed while reclining. You take your pill and wait. You're told not to change a thing. No salads, no steps, just patience. The marketing implies you can burn calories from the comfort of your couch. You try to detect subtle changes. Is your heartbeat slightly jazzier? Is your metabolism revving up? Or is that just the caffeine hiding behind proprietary blend? You check the label and see a list of ingredients that includes everything from green tea extract to ancient root to a compound with more X's and Z's than a toddler texting. 5 hours go by. You've watched 2 episodes of your favorite show, eaten a handful of pretzels, and, if you're honest, considered rearranging the living room just to see if your muscles remember how to move. The only noticeable transformation is a mild sense of restlessness and an increasing skepticism about the definition of effortless. Still, you try to believe. You check online forums, full of hopefuls comparing results and swapping theories about the best time of day to pop the magic capsule. Some claim to feel the burn. Others report vivid dreams of running marathons. A few just report heartburn. The internet hums with advice. Drink more water, try it with lemon, visualize the pounds melting away. The real exercise seems to be all the mental gymnastics needed to maintain the fantasy. Inevitably, reality creeps in. You realize you've spent more time researching "why don't I feel anything yet" than you ever spent on an actual treadmill. The reviews become more honest. I lost $49.99, but gained the ability to fall asleep on command. The return policy is as elusive as the promised abs. You remember, with a blend of nostalgia and resignation, all the previous shortcuts you've tried. Vibrating belts, fat-melting creams, electric muscle stimulators that mostly made you twitch like a startled squirrel. The common thread? Hope, followed by impatience, followed by the familiar pull of gravity. And yet, you can't help but root for the dream. The exercise in a pill fantasy is irresistible, tapping into every tired bone in your body that just wants a break. Maybe someday science will deliver. Maybe you really will burn calories while eating ice cream in bed. Until then, you're left with the world's oldest exercise: standing up, dusting off disappointment, and giving it another go. So tonight, as you doze off on your couch, pill taken, muscles unchallenged, know that you're in good company. Couch potatoes unite, hopeful as ever, ready for the next great shortcut. And remember, sometimes the only thing that really gets lighter is your wallet, but at least your dreams are calorie-free. It's congressional hearing time. Senators glare at pharmaceutical executives as headlines scream, "Miracle drug gone wrong." You watch as politicians, who once endorsed the miracle, now blame the system. Regulations tighten, lawyers appear, and the public is left with coupons for antacids and a vague sense of déjà vu. The cycle is as familiar as a rerun of a 90s sitcom. 1 minute, you're watching a late-night infomercial touting a revolution in weight loss. A breakthrough, pill, an injection, maybe a tea that does everything except file your taxes. The next, you're flipping channels to see those same miracle makers sitting under the harsh lights of a congressional hearing room, looking like kids caught with their hands in the medicine cabinet. The miracle that was supposed to save us all has just become the latest national punchline. Politicians take their seats, each with a stack of papers, a furrowed brow, and a soundbite ready to go. The scene is pure theatre. The executives shuffle in, suddenly much less chatty than they were on last quarter's earnings call. Charts are waved, statistics read, and accusations fly faster than free samples at a state fair. The miracle drug's failures, side effects, shortages, black markets, unexpected complications are recited in detail. Every senator wants to look tough on TV. even if they were just photographed last year cutting a ribbon at the grand opening of the very plant that made the drug. You watch as the regulatory machine cranks into high gear. Rules get rewritten, warning labels multiply, and suddenly you're required to read a novel's worth of fine print before refilling your prescription. New forms, new restrictions, new hoops to jump through, all in the name of safety, but also maybe in the name of avoiding blame. Your doctor now spends half your appointment clicking checkboxes and apologizing for the new process. Pharmacies brace for a flood of confused customers clutching the world's longest receipts. The media swarms, eager to interview anyone with an opinion, or at least a good lawsuit. Talk shows feature panels of experts, ex-users, and that one senator who never misses a chance to say, "We must do better." Lawsuits are filed, settlements hinted at, and the internet explodes with memes, conspiracy theories, and threads of collective outrage. Somewhere, a late-night comedian is already scripting a monologue about senators doing the Ozempic shuffle on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, the public is left to sort through the mess. Some feel vindicated. I told you it was too good to be true. Others just feel exhausted. The miracle is now a cautionary tale, the hope replaced by skepticism, the lines at the pharmacy replaced by lines at the returns counter. The lucky few who never tried the miracle nod wisely, as if they'd seen it coming all along. History, as always, watches with a knowing smile. This isn't the first time a wonder drug or miracle cure has met the gavel's wrath. From cocaine tonics to fen-phen, the parade of products turned pariahs is long and winding. Each time, the public wonders, why didn't we see this coming? Why did we believe the hype? And each time, a new product waits in the wings, ready for its turn on the carousel. Still, some good comes out of the mess. Regulations get a little stronger, watchdogs a little sharper, and a new generation learns to read the fine print. At least for a while, the lesson lingers. Skepticism isn't cynicism, it's self-preservation. The cycle will repeat, but maybe, just maybe, we'll be a little slower to fall for the next shortcut. So tonight, as you curl up with your antacid coupon, shake your head at the latest headlines, know that you're part of a long tradition, one where hope, hype, and hindsight always share the stage. Sleep well, and may your next miracle come with better footnotes and far less paperwork. As we drift toward the end of tonight's journey, take a deep breath and let yourself relax. You've just survived the miracle drug parade, a story older than your gym membership and twice as unpredictable.